Okay. Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order for the Finance and Governance Committee for March 26, 24. Madam Clerk, roll call and posting of the agenda.
Member Basua,
Here?
Member Tehran,
Here.
Chair Zaragoza.
Here.
The agenda for this meeting was posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board on March 19th, 2024.
Thank you. Please join me to salute our flag of the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we're not going to item B. This is public comments not on the agenda, and we have a young man by the name of Jim Lavery likes to speak. Jim?
I wish I were young. I'm gonna be 72 in June.
You're a young man, Jim.
So anyway, I just wanted to take a couple of minutes and talk about well, you don't call it the CAFR anymore. I forget what you call it, the annual financial report. And first of all, I want to thank a person who doesn't work for the city, but has been instrumental in helping the city get its finances in order, and that's Eden Casarino. From 10 years ago, the city was basically in chaos. There was talk of insolvency, there was talk of all the good people were leaving in droves, and she's been there through thick and thin to help guide the city. So if it ever were feasible or ethical to give her a commendation when her time is done here, that would be the person I'd give it to. Anyway, and then looking at the results of the CAFR, I mean, these are the most impressive results I've seen. So I want to thank Mr. Nguyen and his staff. And I'm not used to doing this. I'm not used to being complimentary.
Do you feel okay?
It's different, I'm not feeling that great, actually.
We're gonna clip him.
I just got back from
And he's-
Ensenada, so I'm okay. But I'm having a little problem with the Aaron Starr thing. Like you blame him for a lot of things that are wrong, but the numbers don't seem to indicate that. I'm having a hard time getting, well, what's the scope of the problem? I look at the last 2 years, according to Eden's report and slideshow, the city collected $72 million more in the last 2 fiscal years than it spent. So that's free. That's a lot of cash flow.
Reserves.
Because you got more revenue than expenditures, over 30 million each year. That's unheard of for a municipality. Your fund balance is about $90 million now in the general fund, which is extraordinary. It's theoretically all spendable. I mean, you don't want to do it. You want to have a rainy day fund. But again, I don't like blaming a person for this. Now, according to Eden, this is a $2.3 billion corporation, a municipal corporation.
That's a county.
One person shouldn't be able to stop the city's business, to me. And it doesn't make you look good. It makes you look, how do you say it? Débil, impotente, weak, impotent, impotent. So you ought not to do that. And then the other thing I don't like is who's going to be next? If you're going after him, you could go after anybody. So that part I don't like. I like the results of the CAFR. I like everything that's going on, but I don't like that.
Thank you, Jim. And by the way, our budget's about 600 million, not 2 billion.
Chair Zaragoza, we have one more virtual speaker,
Okay.
and we also have our city manager,
Okay.
Nguyen, who has his hand up.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Who would you like to take first?
Well, the next speaker. And
Thank
then
you.
the city manager. And then we'll go with the city manager last.
Speaker with phone number ending in 4076. Please unmute yourself by pressing *6.
Hello?
Yes, hello, go ahead. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Hello?
Go ahead,
Hello?
we can hear you.
Thank you. This message is for the city manager and his finance department. When are we going to resolve these investment earnings and distribution concerns? You have offered written responses, and I have laid the criteria with which written responses would be acceptable to me. Again, my preference is a face-to-face meeting as the most expeditious mechanism to resolve these concerns. So let's get this on, over with, and move on. This is not going to go away on its own, and I'm going to stay with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, our next speaker is any other speakers other than the city manager?
Chair Zaragoza, we do not have any additional speakers in person or virtually.
Mr. City Manager, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I just want to respond to Mr. Lavery's comments. So first of all, thank you for the complimentary parts of your comments. It's much appreciated, and it's good to see that you can recognize the progress we've made. I've had some offline exchanges with Mr. Lavery discussing the fund balance we have and the reserve, trying to explain that that's the first and foremost measure E is not extra money. So we can talk about that more as we approach this upcoming budget. But with regard to his concerns that the government is blaming an individual, I want to just reframe that. We're not blaming anyone. We're just stating the facts. And, you know, this idea that we somehow think an individual can derail the local government, that's not the case. However, there's important to be able to recognize that anyone can hire a lawyer and file a lawsuit and cause significant delay and at least temporary derailment. That's the society we live in. Again, you know, a monkey can hire a lawyer and cause the paperwork to begin, and that's basically what we're talking about. So this is not personal, just stating the facts as they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Any other speakers, Madam Clerk, either virtually or in person?
We do not have any additional speakers. Thank you, Chair Zaragoza.
Thank you so much. Our next item is C1. This is a consent agenda, City Clerk Department. Approval of the minutes, recommendation that Finance Governance Committee approve the minutes of March 12, 2024 in the regular meeting as presented. Council members?
I'll move to approve the minutes as presented.
I will second.
Okay, we got a first by Councilor Tehran, second by Msua. Please vote.
Thank you. Motion carries 3-0.
And we don't have any speakers on this item either, right?
We do not have any speakers. Thank you, Chair Zaragoza.
Okay, and then our next item is D1, City Manager Department. Subject is ERP, Annual Report and Seventh Amendment to the Agreement with Creative Core Technologies. Recommendation of the Finance and Government Committee, number 1, recommend that City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute a Seventh Amendment for professional services agreement with Creative Core Technologies, Core 943121-FN in the amount of $5,300,000 for a new not to exceed contract amount of $10,020,000, $10,020,000. Okay, to extend the term for 5 years to December 31, 2025 for the project management service related to the discovery, documentation, implementation, and stabilization of ongoing IT support for all phases of the city's multi-year enterprise resource planning ERP implementation, as well as some additional IT project, non-ERP projects. To recommend that the City Council approve $200,000 from the new transfer out appropriation in the General Fund 101 and corresponding transfers in revenue in the Capital Outlay Fund 301 in regards to additional ERP-related costs anticipated for fiscal year 2023-24, and 3, receive and file the ERP System Annual Report. And of course, this is now under Measure M, a pre-recorded presentation. And we have Sherry Klima. Any additional comments at this time, or not? We probably have some comments.
No, I'm eager to answer your questions.
Chair Zaragoza,
Yes, ma'am.
We do not have any speakers in person or virtually for this item.
We do not, and darn it, I lost my place here. I had some questions there. Can you give us in 25 words or less? No, Billy, I'm just kidding. Just a little summary of what we're doing here with this whole item.
Sure, Mayor. The ERP project has made tremendous progress over the past year. The ERP project, as you know, is a system of various software components that are integrated, and so they speak with each other and allow, for example, our financial system to interact with our payroll system and so forth. There's 5 main modules or subdivisions of the larger project. This is a multi-year project. The first one, which was core financials, replaced all of our software for purchasing, for AP, for the general ledger, all of that. That has been completed already, and our finance staff did a tremendous job in working with a consultant to get that going. That took 2 years to implement, and
That was really important, the finance part, yeah,
it's huge.
for the payroll.
Correct. And now we're working on human capital management, which is the payroll system, and also updating HR. So all of the paperwork regarding employee interactions and, for example, updating someone's pay and things like that. We do all of that manually right now, and that will upgrade that whole system. And then the third module is EPL. Everything, of course, in IT has acronyms. So EPL, which is the Enterprise Planning and Permitting and Licensing, I apologize. That one, we've done discovery, so we've done the basically initial scoping of the project. And are starting with the implementation. We're already working with Tyler on reviewing the current state of affairs and then moving that one into the new software. That's one that our developers and our residents who are getting some sort of permit with the city, I think will love when that rolls out, because it will allow.
The permitting process needs a lot of help, and that's really going to help us. Yeah.
It's going to update that permitting process.
Right.
It's going to allow our residents or those developers to look online. What is the status of my review? Do I owe any fees? Very much updating and modernizing that process. Module 4 is Enterprise Asset Management. And that is primarily in Public Works Department. It's much of the inventory and management of all of our assets, from water lines to streets to everything.
For the utilities, that's extremely important, yes.
Correct. And then Module 5, and I'm sorry, on EAM, discovery has been complete. They are beginning implementation a little bit beyond, so that we're staggering some of these modules, because a lot of staff has to be involved in multiple modules. And then utility billing will be the last module, and we've begun discovery, but we'll have to continue that discovery. And then that one will be hopefully implemented starting January 2026.
And Mr. Klingman, you said something important that I think the public should know, and looking at your report, those city functions of the 5 items or functions you mentioned can speak to each other, as opposed to working individually like in the past, because it's really time saver, and this way everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, so Mayor, what the public doesn't see often is that we have different systems that are not connected to each other, and so our staff behind the scenes is connecting the dots. And that connection of the dots, while our staff has done a tremendous job in doing that, it is inherently slower than a system software being able to do that on its own, and due to human error could cause problems. So So now if you're connecting permitting to the financial system, if you're connecting the assets to the work order system, if you're connecting, payroll to advanced scheduling, which we're moving through police and fire, you're going to have these systems that interact with each other and automate a lot of what we're doing manually right now. It will speed things up, will create more accuracy, and we think it will have a much better user experience in terms of what the public sees and is able to interact with.
And anytime you go automated, it takes one of the things that you mentioned here in the total cost project, the 6th bullet point I reported, this IT department has needed a lot of support, both in implementation and of course in maintenance. And that requires a lot of people and consultants to help us get from point A to point B, which I think is really important, but we understand that. And I've worked with other with other agencies that have that type of concern, because consultants and people that work in IT are really in high demand.
Correct, Mayor. There's a lot of people, we're working with a whole consultant team. Creative Core is a whole team of folks that provide a variety of skills that we currently don't have in-house. And we are learning as we go through this implementation that more and more of the backbone of the city in terms of IT infrastructure is not there.
That's
and
right.
so what a lot of consultants or what a lot of people assume exists
It's not there.
is being built right now, many years after the fact. And that, unfortunately, is a big lift where we currently are at. But it's an important one, and we're making good progress.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you, Ms. Klima. And I appreciate all the questions from the mayor. Absolutely important information and context for this amendment we have for the agreement with Creative Core. And, I've tried to look at it a couple different ways for the ERP system. I seem to recall, I think it was 2019 or 2020, when this item came forward to the then City Council. And I remember, as part of the staff presentation live at the meeting, that there was one of the slides had a picture of, I think, timesheets from the police department, and they were paper sheets in a folder this thick. They were happening every 2 weeks, I think it was. And this is something that some person or a team of people had to receive and process and then input, and then it go to somebody else. And not by any means an efficient process, let alone the fact folks who are on vacation or are late turning in their timesheet or whatever the case is, there's just a lot of opportunities for inefficiency and things to fall through the cracks. And that's just one example. And when I look at the ERP and thinking of it as the backbone of the city, your city has functioned, however it's been able to with the previous software. But just because it functioned didn't mean that it functioned efficiently or functioned well in some areas. And I think about it, if you went to the library and you looked on the little computer for a specific book, imagine if at the library, the young adult section used a different cataloging system than the upstairs adult section, and the kids section used a different cataloging system. And you would never be able to find anything, at least not easily, because all those systems have to be uniform and consistent, and people have to know what to expect. And I hope that folks can look at our ERP system as a way to uniform everything across the city, across many departments, so that it's efficient and it's effective in what it does. And I mean, even people who, it was only recently in my previous job that we started, or we went away from paper timesheets and filling in by hand, to see other organizations be able to just do it online or do it from their phone. I thought, wow, that sure seems nice. So I'm glad that the city is moving in a way that's going to be much more efficient with our work. And this IT item in front of us is just one component of an overarching effort that I hope folks can remember. So that's all, Mayor. I don't have any
Thank you.
questions. Thanks.
Councilmember Basua?
No, I've got no questions. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, do you have any speakers on this item? Either virtually or here?
We do not have any additional speakers, virtually or in person. Thank you, Chair Zaragoza.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of the board?
I will move the recommended action.
Move approval by the Basua, Tehran, second by Basua. Please vote.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you so much. And committee members, any items for future agendas? No? No? Okay. So then we are adjourned. Thank you.